I think like there are a lot of things that are important, and I think that there are a lot of little things that make a difference. So I want to tell a little bit about what we've done at Project Include, which is what I've been working on for the past, I guess, like 9 months. It's great to hear and see STAR making all this progress. We were commiserating maybe 2 months ago about how hard it is to do a nonprofit. And it's been interesting because like Project Include came out of a lot of little things. When I left Reddit, I took some time off. I decompressed, I traveled, and when I got back, I was like, I'm gonna take through the end of the year off, but then I got kind of bored. So I started meeting people, I started meeting new people, I started meeting people that I had been friends with for a while, and we were all kind of lamenting the state of diversity in tech. And one of the things that had really started bothering us was all of these reports, these diversity reports, where people had the same final phrase, we have a lot of work to do, but we're on it, right? Like our numbers are crappy, but we're working on it and we'll do better. And you see also they go and they're like, our numbers are bad, but we brought in a diversity consultant and we had a 30-minute training and we are on it, we're good. So we're excited about next year. And we had these one-on-one meetings, and I met like Erica Joy Baker for the first time, and we're like, what are we going to do about that? This is so ridiculous. Like, these people are coming out, they're saying these things, and people are listening to them, and these reporters are writing it down and giving them credit for it. What do we do about it? And I had the same conversation with Brianna Wu, I had the same conversation with Tracy Chow. I'm like, you started these numbers, they've become a mess. Like, what do we do about it? We ended up brainstorming around a dinner. So we all got together for dinner at my house, and we were just like, what can we do? And there wasn't a single answer. We're like, it really is this long list of things that companies have to do, and it really is not up to the employees. It's really the CEO. It's the CEO and the management team that have to go out and make these changes. And having been at Reddit, I was like, it's really hard. It's really, really hard. So how do we make it easier? Like, what would have helped me at Reddit? There was just so much to do, and it was so hard. Like, what would have been helpful? It's like, how about a list of things, a list of resources? Like, a lot of the stuff that we recommend is not new. It's not a surprise. It's not rocket science, but it's not easy to find, and it's not always something that's immediately evident. So we said, okay, we'll just gather all the information out there, and we will make these recommendations, and we will get people to have one place where they can see recommendations. We'll have a bunch of resources. We'll have some case studies. Like, we will really just spoon feed it to people. And at the end, it was 8 of us who got together, and it was people that were handpicked for being willing to speak up and speak out. Like, we wanted people who were going to push things forward, and we got Erica Joy Baker, who built the Google spreadsheet to let people know that there was a lot of unfairness in the pay system. People shared their salaries and their levels, and they started comparing and seeing that, hey, people aren't being paid fairly by gender or by race. And she's now at Slack. Tracy Chow, who started the GitHub repository for data on diversity stats. Frida Kapor-Klein, who's been doing Level Playing Field Institute for a long time and has the Kapor Center that has been supporting diversity in tech and diversity in education and inclusion, importantly. And I always forget people, so I'm just going to start with those 3. What we ended up coming up with was this set of recommendations and this kind of set of core values where inclusion is all groups. It's not just women, it's not just my friends, it's not just people who went to school with me, it's everybody. We've seen how, let's say we want to just include women, and I've talked to a lot of venture capital firms, and their view is it's too hard to do everyone. I talked to a bunch of companies too. Too hard to make it inclusive for everyone. We have so many problems. We're just going to include women. We have daughters. We have wives. We know women. And it's been, and for me, it's like, well, okay, I have this group of people who are making all the decisions and they're up here, and then we're gonna open the door a little bit and allow some more people in, but then there's all these other people who are still not included, who are still not part of the system, and your culture hasn't changed. You still have people who are in and people who are out, and that means these new people that you're trying to add into the in group probably won't really be included because your culture is not one of welcoming people who are different. So how do you make those people be part of the in group? You don't know how to. I talked to one VC firm and they're like, well, we want to bring in women, we can't hire them, like they won't come work for us. And I'm like, that's because you're not building an inclusive culture. If they could see that you were also bringing in people of color, if they could see you were welcoming to everyone, maybe they would. But also you're setting yourself up to do this again and again and again. You're gonna bring in women, and then in 3 years you're gonna realize, oh my God, the world is now not just half women, but half people of color. How do I bring in people of color? And you're gonna say, oh, nobody wants to come work here because we don't have any people of color. So now I'm gonna go back and try to figure out how do I pay people more or recruit people who are more junior into more senior roles, because I need to do something to get people on board into a firm that has not been welcoming for decades. And then our second value is that it has to be inclusive in all activities. So we see so many companies where they bring in people and they hire them and they do a great job and they go to other conferences that might be happening tonight, and they are able to pay people or to spin a great message and bring people on board. But then when these people come on board, we all end up failing. We end up failing. We're not able to succeed. We're trying to get promoted, or we're trying to get a raise, or we're trying to just hang in there, and the culture is not inclusive. Because I don't have an HR handbook, so people are doing crazy things. I don't have a way of promoting people that's fair. I don't have a way of paying people that's fair. So you end up having a system that pushes people out without allowing everybody to have a fair chance to succeed. And then the third piece that was very important to us is some measurability of how a company is doing. So you have to hold companies accountable. Are they actually having people succeed? Are people staying? Are people getting promoted? Are people getting paid the same? Are people getting equity the same? So we created this, we created a survey, and we have 9 companies in our Startup Include program. They're going to take this, they've already taken a baseline survey to see where they are in terms of their diversity, in terms of the numbers of different types of people and different groups of people and different types of employees, and then also how they feel about the company in I think it's 9 different areas. Do they feel like they're being paid fairly? Do they feel like they have opportunities? Do they feel like people are treated fairly? Do they feel like all groups are welcome and included? Do they feel like they belong? So a set of questions that we've taken to try to fine-tune recommendations to each company. And then in 6 months, we will take the survey again and see who's improved and who hasn't. And then we will, over time, create benchmarks, we hope, for showing what startups that are smaller are able to do and what companies can expect and set goals around, so that they know what is possible and they don't get stuck in this land of big companies that are that were created based on antiquated ways of hiring and antiquated concepts of culture fit. What can we do today? How do we revisit what is acceptable and what should be? And how do we do that in a way that's data-driven and that's aspirational and not stuck in the status quo? So we've been very excited to bring this group together. We've had a lot of interest. We've had 1,500 people who sign up to participate and help us. We've had 100 tech CEOs want to participate, and we've been very impressed by the level of commitment and earnestness of the CEOs in our first group. It's one of the very positive things that has come out of Project Include is this idea that there really are some CEOs who are willing to spend time on it, who really want to create these inclusive environments, and who are listening. They don't always know what to do, and they're definitely learning, but this idea that there are people out there who want their companies to look like the way the world is going to look like and does today, and are not satisfied with the way their teams look today and the way the tech industry looks today. So that's been very exciting. And I guess a lot of people are interested in what we've done around our relationship with Y Combinator. So one of our big other programs, in addition to Startup Include and working directly with startup CEOs, is VC Include, where we work directly with VC companies to ask them to ask their startups to participate in our surveys so that we can get more data and to see if they are good fits for our Startup Include program. And Y Combinator was a firm that was one that we were excited to bring on board. I think they have really changed in the last few years to become more diverse in terms of their team and in terms of the people that they fund. We've been excited that they were interested in sharing financial performance data, so to be able to tie how diverse you are as a company and how satisfied people are with your company practices to your actual financial performance, we thought was going to be very powerful. The ability to tie diversity, we think it's directly correlated with performance, and to have that data was going to be very helpful. But another little thing, we were all hanging out on Slack on Sunday night, and I saw like Laura Gomez, who is awesome, who is the founder of a company, Atypica, tweeted like, "Fuck you, Peter Thiel." Like, I don't, she was, very offended with his donation of $1.25 million to Donald Trump after all that Trump has said, all that Trump has done, all the women who have just recently come out of the woodwork to complain and who have finally felt compelled to come out of and let people attack them, which is what has happened to them, because they felt strongly enough about what he had done to them. And Erica Joy had a tweet storm about Trump and about Peter Thiel eventually. And I was like, should we be working with Y Combinator then? Like, Y Combinator has been working closely with Peter Thiel, and he is a partner that's working with the founders. Does this really make sense for us, since we are all about inclusion, and Peter Thiel and Donald Trump are a lot about exclusion? And how would we feel answering questions about why is Peter Thiel, in an organization like Y Combinator that is partnering closely with Project Include? So it was actually, so I just sent out, a message on Slack like, hey, should we be not working with Y Combinator? And everybody was like, yeah, I think so. So we ended up, like just jamming through a post and posting it on Monday morning. I talked to Sam, and Sam was very understanding. I understand his position. He understands our position, and we agreed to disagree. And it was it was a nice conversation. I feel bad because I think we could do a lot with Y Combinator, and we could have a very big impact. But for us, it was, our values are about inclusion, and the fact that this person is putting a huge amount of money and a huge amount of visibility and has put his name and brand into this candidate. It's not about different views. It's not about different, political philosophies. This is about somebody who is really giving a lot more power to a person that we think is actually representing hate and violence. And so for us, it was an easy decision, but we've gotten a lot of negative feedback around it. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback around it, but it's like, you see like these little things, they kind of add up and they kind of chart your course. And for us, it's been a great path to have like this team of people who are super supported. Like these ladies are my squad, to use Bianca's term. Like we're out helping each other and also pushing us to be our best, to really like take a stand, to be confident in what we want to say, be confident in what we want to do, and know that we're not alone and we're out there doing things. And I think, you know, for all of us here, it's really important to know that there are people who have your back, and that there are, you know, there is a community that is really interested in what you're doing, and all of the little things that you do add up, and all of the things that we do add up collectively, and it can create a lot of change. And I hope that we're able to do that. I'm excited that Tess has put this together, and you see, like, you know, this is the second year of people are really interested, and, you know, I think you had such great speakers. So thank you very much for having me, and thank you all for staying to the end.